All right, let's start our resilience week 5. We'll begin with a short meditation, just 1 minute, where we'll just drop in with our bodies. And sometimes I like to call this gathering ourselves. We talk about, wait, I got to gather myself before walking into a stressful event, right? Even with meditation, we can feel our feet on the ground and feel ourselves in our body, feel our posture, taking our seat of strength and dignity, letting out a sigh or like, just dropping the narratives that have been going on in our head and finding our breath. And now returning to the room, you see these little sessions don't take much time, but I find they do have a noticeable effect. I've done them publicly, and the whole crowd, will feel just a different energy after. We're going to start the session a little different than our previous sessions, in that we're going to relate. We all are teaching mindfulness and yoga, but it's not just, it's a labor of love. These are practices that have really made a difference for us in our life. And I didn't get into doing mindfulness or yoga because of pain, but I am a migrainer. And, some of these migraines, would be very severe. And so for me personally, I would try to do mindfulness and it didn't always work. I couldn't always do it, especially early on. And my experience with the practice was that the compassion meditation we did last week was what sort of perked me up, because even though I'm languishing in a dark room and sometimes I'd even be like sighing or crying, I could think, oh, other people are suffering too, and for some reason sending compassion to them and myself together made that feeling of wasting the day in my room with a migraine feel meaningful. Like, oh, wow, I'm connecting. And it wasn't like, oh, other people are suffering too. It wasn't an attitude like that. It was just like, take this moment to connect. And that was a benefit for me early on. And then it switched to kind of riding the waves of the migraine. And I'm like, wow, it's, not a solid monolith. There are times where it's intense and then it kind of goes away. It's kind of similar with labor. So that really made a huge difference. It took away the catastrophizing aspect of where, oh, poor me, my day is ruined. I should be doing this. And oh no, I'm connecting. So maybe Heidi and Laurel can share some of their experiences.
Heidi?
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Julie. Yes, I've had, we think about how our practices speak to us in 2020, after many, many years already of practicing yoga and meditation. But in 2020, I was met with, well, we all were met with the pandemic, but then I was also met with an injured hip, and it was extremely painful and chronic pain, and my ability to move and to walk and do things was severely limited. And ironically, during the time of the pandemic, I was in my advanced teacher training with the studio in Columbus, Ohio, and we all had to switch online. But the trainings I was in this early stage of the pandemic, I was doing more advanced training in restorative yoga, more advanced training in trauma-sensitive yoga, and more advanced training in meditation. And I was offered a gift of that because I was dealing with so much daily pain in my physical body that these practices of one, the trauma sensitivity, taking that to myself, being kind to myself through the physical trauma I was in and the emotional trauma with that and the global trauma of the pandemic. But then layering in, I needed to slow down my practice. It was okay to do restorative yoga. And then in my meditation practices, finding some meditations, because it wasn't easy to sit, it was painful to sit. But I found for me, a lot of the breathing practices that led me to a more meditative, mindful state were what helped me have moments of just less discomfort and almost in a like moments where I was like, oh my gosh, I don't feel pain, and how thankful I am for that, to have these moments within the scatteredness of chronic pain. So I like to take that and remember that one, that trauma sensitivity, we all have different layers of trauma, and how how do these tools speak to you, and what can I offer, what can we all offer that hopefully that brings in that compassion, that wave of kindness and ease into your life. So thanks for letting me share that. Laurel, did you want to share anything?
Oh, they're both so powerful. Just that emotional and physical pain are related, and Julie's going to talk to this effect that it's the same part of the brain. So, how you're feeling emotionally will affect the intensity or the quality of the physical pain, and vice versa. So, just to be aware of that and not judge yourself. And it kind of can be a relief to know that. When I learned that from Julie about the brain, I was like, oh, God, I feel so much better. I felt like a wimp, emotionally.
There's a reason why the same word is used, I'm in kind of going through a painful period or I'm having a painful grief. It's it's really legit.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. And these tools that we share with you help you to ride the waves. Like Julie was saying, it's not a monolith. You're not frozen in this state. There are periods of more intensity, less. There are periods where doing your meditation at home can be challenging. You might have a lot going on emotionally, and it can be challenging. It's okay to say, you know what, this just isn't a good time for me to meditate. It's overwhelming. So I'm going to wait, do it another time, and then ask these emotions how else they might want to be expressed. Do I want to write in my journal? Do I want to cry? Do I want to take a walk in the woods? Do I want to do some breathing? That we're showing you these different breathing exercises. So I'm just glad you're here to help and grow. Thank you. Julie?
Thank you so much, Laurel. So I'm going to share a little bit of science just to give people that image that, as Laurel said, sometimes that can be an anchor when you start to get a little hard on yourself. And we have a pain class, so we're talking about both pain and resilience here. And pain is one of the big three. Anxiety, depression, and pain have an effect size in motivated meditators that's comparable to other standard therapies like Prozac and exercise, rehab, and things like that. It's not that those things are not extremely important. You shouldn't skimp on them, but it is something not to be, dismissed. And the mechanisms for how mindfulness and yoga help with pain are both kind of the mind over matter, the fact that you're changing your mental landscape, but it also has direct effect on things like inflammation, endocrine function like cortisol, and the physical actual postures of yoga also have their benefits. And so this study I've shown in the pain a theme class, but Fidel Zaidan, and he's just come out with another really great paper. These are really standing the test of time, but just 4 days. And these are people who have never meditated before. They were giving mindfulness practice. They would give like a placebo cream that they were told was, analgesic, but it was just lotion, fake mindfulness or listening to a book. And they were exposed to thermal pain in the MRI scanner, and it reduced placebo effect with pain is huge. Okay. Like it's well known, even if it's a placebo, a placebo can work for pain. So it's a really powerful effect. But you see, mindfulness was more effective at decreasing the intensity and the unpleasantness of the pain. And so when you talk about that, like, emotional reaction that sits on top of just the pain itself, that can become a cycle, right? Oh, this is terrible. I'm in so much pain. Why me? And then you get more inflammation in the pain, and it goes up and up and up. And it also affected part of the brain called the insula. So only the meditation practice had this reduction in the anterior insula, or maybe it was just always active, even in rest. So there's something different happening in the communication of your body and mind. The insula is saying, hey, what's my body doing? What's my body doing? What's going on with the body? So this communication area in the brain of mind and body is involved in that analgesic effect. This is that slide that Laurel was referring to. I should have kept the original title. Pain is pain in the brain. This looked at social pain of social exclusion versus physical pain. And you can see this is that anterior insula. It's just a different slicing of the brain. And so you see that the areas of the brain are the same, whether it's physical, whether it's emotional, whether it's social. And this even showed that Tylenol could help with the social pain, which was a really wild study. This is a kind of a busy study, but it was a study on what happened there. On trauma. And so one of my friends, Tony King, did research on Iraqi and Afghanistan war vets, and he did group therapy. And in one of the group therapy conditions, he added a mindfulness component. And that mindfulness component allowed them to volitionally switch their attention away from the trauma, away from their extra layer, that extra sauce that you put on top of that painful memory. And that attentional control puts you in the driver's seat. It takes you away from the states of rumination, which can lead to anxiety, lead to depression, and into the body, into experiencing sensation and feeling, right? That interoception. So the physical act of doing the yoga postures or the yoga shapes, those also have powerful effects on significant on all sorts of cardiovascular disease to even periodontal diseases, and that's because of its effect on inflammatory factors. So when we this one's looking at novices versus experts, and they're either doing the yoga, they're doing a different type of movement that isn't yoga, but they're controlling for the fact that they're doing a new movement series, or they're watching a video of yoga passively. So this is kind of cool. So, when we have a headache or backache or something, we often reach for an ibuprofen. Like I always carry it with me because I'm a migrainer, right? And it's because it reduces these inflammatory factors. It's a physical knockout of those inflammatory factors. Well, physical yoga can do the same thing. Here we see that, first of all, we're getting an increase in positive emotions only with the actual physical yoga and not the movement or the video. And then they stressed out these people, right? They gave them a social stressor. Imagine this yourself. You have to go in front of a group and give a speech on a topic and do math problems in your head. And then they're going to criticize you, with a straight face, no warm banter. It's very stressful. It's a well-known way of stressing out humans in general. And post-stressor, only the experts didn't have this inflammatory response. So they actually gave them a blood test right after the stressful speech and found that, the novices were like, oh yeah, inflammation is going up. I'm stressed. I don't like this. This was uncomfortable. But the experts, they didn't have that inflammatory response. So doing yoga regularly gives you a disposition that's less reactionary. And this is an interesting study on alternate nostril breathing, which we're going to learn today. And they did a brain imaging study where they put a panel of sensors called near infrared on the head and found that there long ancient wisdom related to the yoga practice is that the right nostril gives you more alertness, the left nostril is more relaxing. Well, the data show this is a mechanism. This is really happening. The right nostril breathing is causing an arousal of prefrontal cortex, and the left nostril breathing is giving a relaxation. So, in other words, there's kind of a balance going on. So, let's say you're kind of wound up. Well, doing the alternate nostril breathing is like almost like tipping back and forth between a really alert to really relax, really alert to relax, and then you find a new equilibrium, a new balance. And they have a really cool mechanism. We don't have time to go through the details, but basically the sensory receptors in your nose are talking to the hypothalamus, the kind of feed, flight, flee part of the brain, which is talking to the HPA axis. If you remember cortisol, and talking to the amygdala happens with the HPA axis. And then, through a series of downstream effects, their hypothesis is that's directly leading to this activation and deactivation of prefrontal cortex. So that's kind of cool. Another study kind of replicated this right and left nostril, and they felt especially that left was reducing mind wandering, and that after doing the alternate nostril breathing, there was an overall increase in well-being and decrease in mind wandering. So if you sit down to meditate and your mind's all scattered, you can get yourself to a new level of balance and then begin the meditation. So and then this is our previous yoga instructor. I got to get a picture of you, Heidi, in there here. But physically doing the actual restorative yoga practices also reduces pain just by allowing your muscles to relax naturally. So without further ado, let's work on these practices. Heidi?
Thank you, Julie. Yes, like Laurel shared earlier, I really appreciate all your sharing around the science of it, because we can have our own experiences, which are extremely validating. And then also the cool science of like, oh, that's what's happening in my nervous system, right? It's like, oh, fascinating. So we are about to go on, I'm going to spotlight me for a moment. We're going to go on a journey with restorative yoga. And then after we do our restorative yoga practice, we will practice that alternate nostril breathing. And you can see how that speaks to you today. So in truth, restorative, all yoga can be restorative. We can take in that restoring care, whether we're in a yoga practice that might move in a powerful, flowy way, when we are caring for that mindful approach into how we're moving and breathing. But when we think of the classical type of practice with restorative yoga, there's a few different things that you might become aware of in the postures. So in general, restorative yoga, we give a little more time and space into the shape we're in. And the reason for that is what Julie said, we want to create a new equilibrium, but we can't just like flip a switch to get there. So we create time and space and comfort. So these postures are not looking for a deep, strong stretch. We're actually yielding into a soft zone. So the time and space and comfort support in the pose allows that teetering to start to occur so that we can start to move from that kind of a more stress state or tension in the body state, or maybe we're feeling discomfort and pain in the body. And we start to shift that into that equilibrium that offers us perhaps an experience that is met with more ease, more gentleness, more cushioning around just daily living. So I'll be introducing you to 3 postures today, and then we'll do alternate nostril breathing. For this practice, you'll want your chair that you're in. And if you have a table or desk in front of you, that's fantastic. You may also want like a blanket or even a coat that you could use if you need a little extra cushion for your head or your arms for a pose. And if it's available for you today to have some space on the floor to kick your legs up on a chair, you can use a blanket or a coat for that. And I'll show you too, if you don't want to get on the floor where you are, a variation of a pose that you can take while we're in that. So I'm going to move right over here to my make-do table desk. Set my stuff there. We will start with, as we've been doing every practice, we'll start with a real short 6 movements of the spine. I find when I teach restorative yoga and then my own practice, I appreciate just a little bit of, what I call the wiggles out, like getting some muscular tension, letting the mind get into the body, let the breath come alive and be part of the experience. Super helpful for when you give yourself a little more time and space in these longer held postures. So we'll get going in mountain pose for our 6 movements. As we have been practicing each week, we'll start with the cat-cow activity. So stand neutral in your mountain pose. A moment to be present. Come into your experience here. Invite your hands together. And now with your breath, as you breathe out, reach your arms forward, maybe soften your knees and round your spine. And as you inhale, stand tall, really tall into the body. Soften your shoulders back. Hands can touch the shoulders. Gaze up. Exhale, interlace your hands. Reach forward, round your spine. Inhale, stand really tall. Soften your shoulders open. Let's do that 2 more times. Exhale, breathe, round your back. Inhale, stand tall, lift your heart space any amount. Last one, exhale, round. Inhale, open. And now reset, mountain pose. From your mountain shape, invite your right hand to rest to the belly. For our side bend, inhale, sweep up your left arm. Side bend over to your right. A little, or maybe you're feeling a little more awakening today. Lean a little more. Press through your feet. Come on up. Release your left arm. Left hand can rest gently to your belly as you bring your right arm up. Lean a little or a lot to the left. Listen to sensation as that volume starts to rise. Yield when you need to yield. And now back up. Release your right arm down. Now right hand will rest back onto the belly and we'll get ready for the twisting pose. So now you'll step forward with your left foot, right foot will be slightly back. And I'll turn a little bit here and bring your left arm behind you. Land into your feet, gently turn to your left any amount. Waking up rotation up through the body from your legs up to that left shoulder. And then let that be. Release your arms. Maybe let the arms shake out a bit. And we'll do the twist to the other side. Left hand now to your belly. Right arm behind you. Land into your legs and feet. Gently turn to the right. And again, feel that awakening drifting up. And be present for feeling and sensation as much as you need that today. Be present here and now. Let's unwind from your twist. Once again, shake out the arms, shake out the legs. Right. All right. So now our 3 restorative postures. The first one I'm going to demo for you will actually do from standing. You do have an option to sit for this if you wish, but it can feel really nice if you've been sitting already for a while today to do a half fold from a standing position. So in this pose, you're going to stand and face your desk or your table, setting your hands onto the table. And now start to walk your feet back. Be gentle into your knees, maybe even give your knees a little bend. And now take your forearms and rest them onto the table. and rest your forehead onto your arms. Now, if you prefer to sit, you would just slide a chair right underneath your seat, take a seat, lean forward to rest your arms onto the table, rest your head onto your arms. Now, as you're here in this forward fold, we'll be here for just 1 minute. Some restorative classes, you could be in a pose anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, but we'll do little restorative snacks today. So perhaps see if you want your feet a little bit wider or a little closer. Soften your knees, let your hips land onto your legs, spine as it's hinging forward. Notice how your head feels as you rest your head onto your arms. Maybe it feels great to gaze down to the floor, or give yourself a moment to close your eyes, soften the expression on your face. And welcome in the breath as a participant to this experience. Maybe noticing if your breath tempo starts to slow even just a little bit. Nothing to rush or make happen. The pose starts to do the work as you receive and support yourself here. We'll be here 4 more breaths. Gently welcome the mind into the body, down the legs, sense your feet on the floor. Press your feet a little more into the floor and then start to walk your feet towards your table or chair or table or desk if you're standing, and start to lift back up to your mountain pose. Take your time as you bring your head back up to that upright elevation. Shoulders soften down your back. Noticing the space you're in, blink your eyes open if not already. And now we'll shift into the next pose. We'll take a seated pose that adds some rotation. So now in your seat, in your chair, you'll be facing your table or desk, and you may want just a little bit of space here. And now if you're facing your table or desk, you're going to shift yourself to the right a little bit. So you're just on a little bit of an angle, and you can be almost right on the edge of the seat and feel your feet. And now you'll turn your body towards the table or desk. And as you did before, you'll rest your forearms, rest your head. So you have just a little bit of rotation and turn in the upper body. And your knees are drifting off to the right as you rest your head and arms off to the left. So restorative yoga, we're not trying to make any grand gesture in our shape. The grand gesture actually comes through the allowance of time, of support in the pose, and receiving the benefit of slowing down, taking care. A moment of gentle rest and kindness for your mind, your body. Again, any amount. Invite the breath to be a participant in this experience. Nothing forceful. The breath is already flowing as it needs to for you. It's there for you to watch and feel and be an anchor if needed, so you can stay present in the unraveling of rest. I invite you here 4 more breaths. Sensing any amount of slower tempo of time, a slower tempo of pace in your body. Invite your attention to drift down your legs to your feet. Feel your feet on the floor. And now notice your head on your arms. And start to lift your head away from your arms, maybe a little push down in your arms as you lift. Start to blink open your eyes as you move the trunk of your body away from the table. And then we'll set this up on the other side. So starting to turn the body a little to your left. So you're just on a slight angle to the left. So knees and feet face to the left. And now you'll turn just slightly so you can look towards your table, towards your desk, and lean in again. Maybe if it feels okay in the shoulders, you could place the other arm on top and rest your head. Make any little adjustment. Remember that restorative yoga is about finding comfort as it's available to you today. So if that means, adjusting your legs slightly, or placing a coat or blanket under your arm so you could be lifted up a little bit higher. A soft, fuzzy gaze open to the floor, or give yourself a moment to close your eyes. The kinetic sensation in your body. Again, notice what you notice. Is it slowing down? Is it feeling the same? It's okay if you're having a totally different experience. Restorative yoga, the space and time is quite advanced. Giving ourselves an allowance for this rest. That's our advanced practice. Thank you for doing something to give yourself time here today. Be quiet. I'll be quiet here for 4 more breaths. Gathering a sense of your feet to the floor, your legs, your arms, and your head. Maybe a little push down of your arms to help lift your head up. Walking your hands back up onto the desk, turning yourself back to neutral. And then releasing your arms away, checking in for a quick second to see how you're feeling here. All right, the last pose is the one where we'll go on the floor if that's available to you today, and you'll use the chair to support your legs. If you'd rather not be on the floor today, one option would be to kick your feet up onto your desk or table so you can move your chair back slightly. Lean back comfortably, maybe so your chin can soften. And you can just kick your legs up for a little bit, rest your hands. But if it's available for you today to kick your legs up onto a chair, you could set a blanket down either for a little pillow. I can't tell if you're going to lose me here, but you could set a blanket down or a coat down as a floor covering. Lay down onto your back. And then you allow your lower leg, your calf muscles, to rest onto the chair. And if you do have long legs, you could turn the chair so that your feet can drift off the side. I have shorter legs, so I don't have that problem today, but some practitioners have longer legs, so adjust for that for you. Arms can rest by your side or maybe hands to your belly. Start to sense the floor beneath you as you settle into this shape for you today. Whether you're kicking your feet on the desk, leaning your back into the chair, or if you're here on the floor like me, back on the floor, lower legs on the chair, creating an opportunity for the benefits of a gentle inversion. Time and space to allow the benefits of the shape to speak to you, to support you, to nourish you. Welcome the breath, your friend in the experience. Breathing just as you need to. Smooth, slow, nurturing, restful breath. We'll be in the shape just a little longer. If it's available today, allow the supports beneath you to take more weight. Maybe an exhale, let a little more of the bones and the muscles settle in your body. Feel any amount of spaciousness and softness, asking to be seen, felt. 4 more breaths here. After your next breath, or if you are in a chair with your feet on the desk, you can start to adjust back into your comfortable seat, feet to the floor. If your legs are up on the chair and you're on your back, take your time as you walk your feet off the chair. Lean over to one side. And just as you would to get out of bed, rise up from your side. Let your head feel heavy for a moment as you come on up. Give yourself a second as the head comes back up over the heart, over the floor, this new elevation. And then if you're on the floor, you can make your way to a comfortable seat in a chair. A moment to check in as you settle into your seat, making your body comfortable, feet to the earth. Legs close together, maybe just a little bit wider. Hips heavy on your chair. Spine comfortably tall. I'll guide you through a few rounds of alternate nostril breathing. To practice alternate nostril breathing, you'll take your right hand, and I won't be mirroring you here, I'll use my right hand as well. But you'll take your right hand, your right thumb, and you'll follow it down the right side of your nose to where it starts to get just a little soft. And then you'll invite your ring finger of your right hand to go to the left side of your nostril, into that area where it just starts to get soft. Your index finger and middle finger can rest gently on your forehead. Your thumb and ring finger will be the fingers that open and close the nostrils in a very gentle, gentle way, not a hard pressure at all. So before we start alternating, first bring your attention to the act of breathing. Steady in and out through the nose. Your eyes maybe just softly open, fuzziness at the hand or closed. Left hand could rest to your leg gently. And now as you notice the breathing in and out through your nose, you'll invite an inhale through both nostrils. And gently close your right nostril. Exhale, left nostril. As you inhale, you'll inhale left nostril. Ring finger will close the left nostril. Exhale, right nostril. Release the thumb. Inhale, right nostril. Close right nostril, open left. Exhale out the left. Inhale left. Close the left. Exhale right. Inhale right. Close the right. Exhale left. Keep it going back and forth. You'll inhale left. Close left. Exhale right. Inhale right. Nothing to rush. Take your time. Exhale left. Inhale left. Exhale right. Inhale right. Exhale left. Keep going. I'll be quiet for just a little bit, and then I'll cue us back in. Take a cycle so that you end up exhaling out the right nostril. And then once you exhale out the right nostril, you'll release your right hand and inhale both nostrils. Open your mouth, exhale. Inhale both nostrils. Exhale out the mouth. One more, inhale both nostrils. Exhale out the mouth. And now invite your breath to find its way, breathing in and out through your nose. Notice the effects of the practice for you today. That was one style of doing alternate nostril breathing. There's many, many techniques for how you alternate it. But that is one of the most basic shifting back and forth methods. I hope that breathing practice and movement practice supported you today, friends. Thank you so much for this time to share. Laurel?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Heidi. Let's keep this interoception going, this inward reflection. So go ahead and fuzzy gaze down, or eyes closed or eyes open, whichever is comfortable for you. And now we're going to do a guided meditation on thoughts. So let's just return to that circular breathing. A nice easy in and easy out. Nowhere to go, nothing to do. Just being present in this moment right now. Bringing our awareness to feeling our breath in our body. Allowing it to float like the gentle waves on the ocean, without holding or forcing the breath in any way. Allowing it to be. Allowing ourselves to be. Maybe feeling the temperature of your room against your skin, your clothing against your skin. Your next exhalation, allowing your jaw and shoulders to drop just a little more. Maybe noticing that slight pause between the inhalation and exhalation, that natural pause. Just bringing awareness to whatever you're feeling in this moment in your body. And knowing that it's all okay. You're in a safe place, a place of honoring yourself for all that you do for yourself and others. Coming home to you. Now bringing your awareness to your feet, barefoot or in shoes, wiggling your toes a bit, feeling a presence between the soles of your feet, if you could imagine them touching the earth. And feeling a sense of groundedness and connectedness to the earth through your feet. And now let's bring our awareness to our next thought. Looking at that thought, is it a future thought, a past, a present? Looking at it with curiosity of a 5-year-old, like, hey, look at that thought. Huh, is it heavy or light? Is it long or is it short? Is it soft or kind of roughish? Just take your time in that curious observation of not labeling the thought good or bad. It just is. Look at that thought. Huh. And you find you're done observing the thought, gently and kindly come back to an awareness of your breath. Feeling your breath in your body. Welcoming your breath once again. Anchoring you into this precious present moment. And guess what? There's another thought. Oh, our minds like to think it's a wonderful thing. Let's look at that thought. And just observe it again with that same curiosity. Looking at the different textures, lengths, time frame. Just curious. Again, not a good or a bad thought, just it is. Take your time. And gently bringing your awareness back when you're ready to your breath and your body. Noticing if there's any feelings associated with these thoughts, because there could be, or there may not be. And that's okay too. Noticing where you may be feeling that in your body. Is it your chest or belly or head or somewhere else? And just observing that without judgment. And again, when you're ready, bringing your awareness back to your breath and your body. And we begin anew each time. We begin anew each time. No judgment of how I'm doing. Oh, I'm not doing this right. No judgment. It's all good. Just beginning anew each time. And it's okay if you get lost in a thought. And just gently and kindly bring your awareness back to your breath in your body. Now bringing awareness to your room again, the temperature maybe of your room. Feeling the temperature of the breath in your nostrils, your feet grounded to the earth, and noticing whatever happened in these past few minutes is all good. No judgment. It's a practice of finding oneself lost in thought and coming back again and again, coming back home. So if your eyes are closed, you can open them and just notice whatever you're feeling. And like I've said before, it's all okay. It's all okay, whatever you're feeling. And these last few minutes we have, we'd like to open it up to just some challenging, we're going to talk more about this next week, but just some challenging hindrances, things that you might be finding like, oh God, I really go to sleep. I really get sleepy. I notice my body's so sleepy and I really want to go to sleep when I meditate. And so what are some things that can help you with that? You know, maybe you do at a different time, or maybe you do get a glass of ice cold water, or you do some stretches, some yoga that Heidi's shown us, or some alternate nostril breathing, or the humming bee breath that Heidi taught us. So just kind of like, I'm here, I'm present. For me, sometimes it's lighting an incense, lighting a candle, because that smell can kind of wake me up a little bit. So I'd like to share and open this up, to you all, and Heidi and Julie, to some hindrances. Sleepiness is definitely one, or physical discomfort, restlessness, maybe feeling anxious, like, and maybe doing some more movement before you meditate is helpful there. But I'll turn this over to the experts too. Yeah. And there might be some. Go ahead.
I like to keep, along with incense, I keep like a citrus or a peppermint or something, essential oil, and I'll just smell it a little bit to wake up my senses and start to generate that quality, like you like to use your incense, Laurel.
Yeah. Yeah. So please share with us now on chat or to hear your voice. What have you found so far in these past 5 weeks that have been challenging to you? Like, I don't think I can do this because, fill in the blank, or this is challenging because, yeah. Julie?
If someone interrupt me, if one of the participants, but like if I'm feeling a lot of very heavy emotions, I kind of mentioned with the migraines that I couldn't meditate but I still have trouble sitting on the cushion and just doing mindfulness then. And that's when doing the breath work is really helpful to me. Or even doing 6 movements of the spine, something that's more in my body that takes down that, into parasympathetic mode. I just saw a comment.
Yeah, go ahead, Julie. Look at the comment.
Yeah, when busy at work. Yeah, when you're trying to, and that like really tiny is also is so worthwhile. I mean, we only did a minute at the beginning, but you can go even shorter. Just maybe you're out on a walk and you just take in the view in 1 second, and just try to like let your thoughts. Something like at work, it can be the same. Like maybe just like put up a nice picture on your computer and or when you go to the bathroom, maybe you were on social media for a second, then for a while you're just like, something really short like that will create a snack. One of Heidi's mindful snacks.
Yeah. I like to, another thing I like to do is when I'm, a lot of the time I like to do it, but sometimes when I'm out, if going to the bathroom, for example, if I just need a moment, I think I might have shared this before I know you can't see it, but I'll just place a hand on my belly, or I'll place a hand on my heart. And for me, it's usually like the belly. I really feel it. I get a lot of anxious tummy, the butterflies in my tummy. If I'm nervous or excited, not quite sure yet, but I just put a hand on my belly. And that's something that I do pretty quickly to help regulate my mind back in the body. I feel my body breathing and kind of focus on the next thing that I might need to put my heart and mind into. Yeah.
You want to look at the chat, Heidi? There's
Yes. Really stress, keeping my mind in the present, the breathing helps with this. Yes, thank you. Yeah, any other thoughts or comments or?
yeah. So finding time. I mean, that's something that's really personal. For me, sometimes it's in the morning before I go to work, or I say to myself, as soon as I get home, I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna meditate and I tell myself like 5 minutes, and usually it ends up being longer. So if I tell myself a shorter time, like, oh, a couple minutes, you know how good you're gonna feel. And then it goes to maybe 10 minutes. And then that's just wonderful. It's just grounding, recentering. Sometimes we
That's
have
dessert with your snack, right?
yeah.
Dessert with the snack.
One
I
of the
found
manis-
lately in the evening when my daughters are, my day going on and on with my daughters and family and then this is like all the things. While they are getting ready for bed, if I have just a little bit of time while they're brushing their teeth or getting the jammies on, I will just like, this is my room, I will get on the floor and just like rest on the floor or like just lay there and do a twist or something or just be still. And I can hear all the activity. It's not quiet in the house at that time, but I give myself that little nugget that I know is right before I'm going in to say goodnight to all of them, just to down regulate and be still. Julie, were you going to share something?
Well, I'm going to switch to Kyle has written having some hip pain, which means I have to change things up and have to give myself permission to do that. And that gentleness is a huge benefit. But I'm sure you could speak more to the hip pain adjustments.
Oh, yes. Permission is the big thing. Permission is key. Permission to really adapt what you're doing. And if you're doing yoga with hip pain or any posture with hip pain, yeah, like bringing in the support, blanket, adjust. Don't think it has to be a certain way just because a picture looks a certain way. You listen to you and shape it from the inside out. And permission to slow down is a big thing too.
I feel like it's talked about but the word mindfulness actually means remembering in Sanskrit,
Yeah.
Smriti. So that it is about the act of remembering to stay on the object. That's what you're actually training. And working
Yeah.
memory and attention are overlap, and that's why they're related.
Yes. I share a lot in my classes and the teacher trainings I do with students who want to be teachers. That what is yoga? What is mindfulness? It's just what Julie said. All these practices are the remembering. They're all remembering practices. Like, oh, remembering I am breathing. Oh, remembering I'm in this body. Oh, remembering this big sky above me, right? These remembering of being human and permission to be human.
Yes, permission.
Yeah.
And Donna wrote about scheduling, but she also joins us in our offerings of daytime mindfulness sessions, and that being with a group is also really helpful. Like if you're going through, like when I've gone through periods of grief and such, like really the only thing that is like a container of having others around me also creating that support, when maybe my will is a little low.
Yeah. Pulling in our community. You are our community.
Yeah.
We need you.
Community is part of that thread of our quality of life, like that what brings us joy and fulfillment in our life. And we can think of all the things we need to do for ourselves, sleep and nutrition and mindfulness practices, but our connection to community. And that's what's so beautiful about compassion meditation, is that we can build a connection with community even when we're not always physically in the connection of community.
We are at our end. If we could get the post survey out. Don't want to, but that is exactly it. Community.
Yeah.
It's what's missing in our
Community
society a little
compassion.
bit. Yeah, they're related. the brain. Compassion meditation lights up the social network of the brain. And we need it. We need
it.
social, even if we're an introvert. Like
Like me.
our animals are there for us.
Oh, thank
Though
you.
I watched my cat pry open the closed back door while we were. I'm like, that's how she does it. That's how she escapes.
You just learned that today, Julie?
I just watched her do it. Community, humor, and gentleness with ourselves, and a little, ah,
Yes.
little bit lightness.
Yes.
It's really important.
Exactly. Oh, so much so. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you all for coming and honoring yourselves to be here. And we'll see you next week in our last class.
Yeah.
Our last class will be a little bit of a review and a little longer meditation, a little more silence, and a little more of this talk of hindrances and how we can help each other.
Thank you.